Hey, check this dude out. This sucker right there hurt you in a windstorm, make you fly off like Dorothy and Toto, off somewhere. I'm gonna tell you what, if you're walking and you come across a bridge, you better have you 20-foot stick to hit that sucker and make sure you can clear with this because you're liable to hurt yourself. But we used to wear these back in the day, back when it was cool. I promise you at one time it was cool. Are you ready to run and gun? It's time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. I thought I'd have fun with that hat. I wasn't quite sure I was going to be able to get that whole entire sucker in the frame, but I got it. So there you go. Today's topic, the real story. I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can. I see all the time on forums, I see it on online and everything else, people arguing, are the older reels better than the new reels? Well, I can't say that's an opinion. I really can't, because I'm going to tell you what, the older reels will outlast stuff made today. Why? More metal in the gears, more brass, metal frames, aluminum frames. Stuff was just built better back in. Today you got composites and plastics and a buddy of mine told me that back in the day, he's an Abbey Garcia guy, the old 4600s, and great reel. And he was telling me that he remembers when these old Iowas come out, they used to call them plastic pieces of. The only thing plastic on them was the handles, the actual thumb handles, and a palm plate. That's it. Everything else was either metal or aluminum. But going to low profile reels, I'll just discuss those today to kind of keep things simple. A short history of them, and also a clarification. Shimano did get their start making the Lucilder, but that's not the first low profile reel. I've said it before, if you hold that sucker side by side to an Abu 4600, same size. It just looks low profile because it has the swoop in the front for the worm gear. Other than that, it's not the first low profile reel. The first low profile reel, which was not really the compact series yet, was the Daiwa SM12A. I think there's an SM1A as well, which I think has a little bit narrower spool. But this is mine, and that's all factory original with the original handles and everything on it. This is a 1980. Now, if you look, that's a pretty bulky reel, pretty heavy reel. But man, the sucker's still sweet. Put some ball bearings in here. That thing right there gets you in trouble. The first official, which was just a couple of months after this sucker come out. If you look in the 1980 Bassmaster series of magazines, there's advertisements with Bill Dance, and he's got this reel kind of covered. It's called his new secret weapon. Well, that's what that was that reel. Very shortly afterwards, you had the PL100, which is this one. Still metal frame, everything, but if you look at it, it is the first low profile reel. Very small, fits in your hand like that. This is my favorite shape of reel, period. Because I've thrown it for so long, I'm just so used to it, I could throw these things blindfolded. But that's an all original PL100 from 1980. Just 2 years after, they basically painted it black and made it a PS10. Same reel. It's the exact same reel. Same parts, everything. Except this one I put gator grips on it, which are also gone. But this is the next step. And this is, like I said, it's my favorite reel. Either one of these, the PL or the PS10. Doesn't matter. It's the same shape, it's the same reel, just one's black, one's silver. When these come out, does that kind of remind you of a Shimano Bantam? Oh, but this was first. Oh, when Shimano went on their own, they tend to borrow some design ideas. And you got to start somewhere. I don't blame Shimano for it, because Shimano, for years and years and years and years, have always made a phenomenal reel. So I'm not knocking Shimano, okay? I like the old Bantams and the Magnum Lights and stuff like that. They're really cool back then. I've even had some round reel Corrados that were really nice, but I actually like my Millionaires better. But regardless, this is not a round reel video. But this was next in line, was the PS10. And then when you get around 1983, this is my second reel I ever bought. My Magforce with the patent pending on it. This is a PMF 10S. And I bought this in 1983 with my paper route money. The old original Magforce, I call her Maggie. But I've had that sucker for 39 years. And she's still going, still looks good, because I take care of my equipment. And again, all these reels have got the little push button on the side. Doesn't bother me, because I'm left-handed when I cast. I palm the reel when I cast it, and it's just nothing to, or I might hit the button and move over. This doesn't bother me. There are thumb bar models that came out not far after this. About 1984, they started coming out with thumb bars, and that's when your PF1000s and your PMA 10Ss and stuff like that. And Shimano kind of followed suit the same way. They kind of did the thumb bar, or the thumb release at the same time. That's okay. I mean, everybody comes out with stuff at the same time. Quantum even started coming out about this time too, about 1984, 85. The next one that came out by the late 80s was the PT series. Now, not many reel companies follow suit with this. This is kind of a bulky reel. You might remember back in the day the Ambassador, what were they called? Ambassador Pluses. About the same kind of bulkiness. But again, that was a good reel too. But still, we have the aluminum frames. This one is aluminum. It looks like it's graphite, but it's aluminum. Stay away from graphite frames. They don't last long. Not to mention, if there's a graphite frame, that means your whole entire frame's graphite and everything's basically being held in a piece of plastic. I don't like that. I've had so many graphite frame reels break. Yes, Daiwas. I've had so many of them break. I had no use for them. As you're stepping up towards the 90s is when a lot of reel companies started getting kind of more swoopy. I kind of draw the line here at this one. I'm not a big fan of the TDH, which came out in 91, 92, 93. This is just a little bit after that one, and I like this because it just fits better in my hand. This is the PR10G, which is still metal frame, and as long as you put ball bearings in these things, they do really, really good. So that's the next step in those reels. You notice there's a trend. Everything's still getting little smaller, little streamlined, and they're still holding their aluminum or solid metal frames. Here's another one, aluminum frame. This is the next series, the Team Daiwa X. Really good reels, still fit in your hand pretty good. A little bulkier, but that was the way it was back around 98, 2000. Is when I started going to these. And then as time went on, you started getting, unfortunately, cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. All these reels are still made in Japan. All these Daiwas, they're still made in Japan up until this time started rolling around. By the late 90s, you're starting to see more Taiwan, Vietnam, stuff like that. Then you come to the new stuff. No, I'm sorry. I love Daiwa. I had this reel out once. See that? And I've tried to adjust it and it won't adjust. I've got another one where the handles have actually cocked sideways like this, and I've only used them once. Composite frame, plastic side piece, plastic on this side too. And this reel is, it just sounds like there's a line on there. This reel, they were like 80, 90 bucks. So here's the real story. If you're a big fan of Lou Childers, Quantum, let's see who else is involved. Edgar Garcia. Guys, they're all made by Doyo. They're all made by the same company. All they do is just slap a logo on there, package it in the proper packaging, and sell it to you. You're buying the same crap. Do I think these reels right here, even with care, is going to outlast these? Absolutely not. Why? Because a lot of your gearing in this stuff is plastic. It's a temporary reel. That's basically what you're buying. I'm not saying they're all junk. I mean, good grief, if you want to spend $400 or $500 on a bait casting reel, like a Daiwa Steez, or some of the new Shimano's that are coming out, this, that, and the other, that's your choice. Go ahead, because at least they're made in Japan. So they might have a little bit better parts, but I'm going to tell you, I bought Tatulas when they first come out, and I took one apart to do this ball bearing modification I saw on YouTube. And when I had it apart, I really had to be careful what I was doing, because it's kind of like you're working on a Maserati versus an old Chevy. Maserati, Chevy. This is what you would call an old school car. This is one that has all the new sensors and the catalytic converters and everything else that are absolutely useless on a vehicle, but they make you put them on there anyway. That's what these are. I don't like working on these, and I don't work on these because everything's plastic. I'm scared I'm going to break it when I'm working on it. I got nothing to do with it. This is not much better, but it's not as hard to work on as this. I really don't work on these very much because there's really no need to. Just lube them up, clean them up, and I'm good to go. But reels like these, you know, these old Daiwas like this, doesn't matter up to what year, whatever, I can work on them blindfolded. Why? Because they're all pretty much the same internally. Daiwa's not dumb. And Shimano was the same way back in the day. They're not dumb either. The Zebco Quantum 1310 MG, in my opinion, was the best reel Quantum ever made. Period. It's a freaking tank. You can't kill it. But they were also made in America at the time too. So if you can find 1310 MG on eBay, I've got one. But if you can find one on eBay, try one out. You know, if you got somebody in your area that works on reels, then definitely hook them up. If you've got some old reels that might need a little help, please email me. I can either help you out to do it yourself, or a lot of people just send them to me, and I fix them, especially the old stuff like this, because I can literally just I can draw you a schematic right now what's inside these things, and I have my own loops that I've created myself that works really well with these things. I mean, good grief, man! You've got I can find one that's doesn't have any lines sticking out. I mean, and that reel's almost 40 years old. Nothing wrong with them. They're just fine. I just ride as the rain. But I'm not a big fan of this new stuff. You know, unless you're going to spend the money, which I refuse to spend the money because you're still getting plastic. Yeah, not too impressed. I mean, are these low profile? Oh yeah, man. I mean, these suckers fit in your hand like, I can almost wrap the whole entire reel in my hand. And that's great. Not good on a pistol grip. I don't like this feel on a pistol grip. I like to have a little bit more meat on a pistol grip. But on a straight handle, yeah, I can see what these are. But I'll be honest with you guys. I thought the Tatulas I had were really good reels. They had some cheaper parts in them, Teflon, things like that. But with the drag, magnetic drag being up here, every time I cast, my finger would hit that drag, and I would loosen it every cast. I didn't like that. I bought these because they had the side palm plate right there, so I can't adjust them. And these ended up being, I'm not going to throw it, but I mean, I'm not happy with these. That's probably my next one that I don't throw very often. I've got a few of these. They're really good reels. I mean, good grief, man. And that's with lines spinning around them. Good reels. But I tend to lean towards some of the older stuff. I really do like these 10RGs. They're really cool. Some of you can find them with the cap, some you can't find with the cap. But ball bearing, and you're good to go. And these grips, if you have issues with the grips, shoot some line and reel magic down in the slots right here in the front of the things, and they won't do that. I haven't done this in a while, that's why it's like that. But, the bulkier ones, a little harder to fish with, but these are still amazing reels. I just like the old stuff better. It's if something happens to it on the water, I almost know immediately what's wrong with it. I had that happen on a trip a couple of years ago. I was throwing an old millionaire, and I went to hit the button, and the button kept popping out as I was trying to cast it. I hit the button, it popped back out. Hit the button, pop back out. I'm like, spring. So right there in the kayak, I took the whole thing apart, and I took a pair of pliers, and I rebent the spring into shape, put it back in there, put the cap back on there, like it was nothing. That, to me, is the kind of reel you want in a boat, or a kayak, or in a canoe, or whatever you're doing. Because if something like that happens, and it's rare, it's rare, but it's easy to fix if something like that happens. The reason why people don't like these old reels a lot of times is because when you buy them, they've been neglected. If you want to buy some of these old reels like this, especially on eBay, now whenever I sell a reel on eBay, I actually do a short video that I post on YouTube of me showing the spool in free spool mode and cranking it, and so they can see the reel is tip top when I sell it. Everybody else don't do that. All they say is reel works properly. Reel works properly. But that's fine and dandy, but what about this? Is it locked? Because this is what's going to lock on you. That spool's going to lock on you every single time, especially with neglect. And believe it or not, you have to physically explain to people on email, push the button, spin it with your finger, and make sure it spins for at least 3 seconds. Because if it doesn't, then you're going to have some repairing to do. I don't mind that. I can have these reels apart, completely cleaned and lubed in about 45 minutes to an hour, because I take my time with it. I don't get in a rush. If I was in a rush, 20 minutes to 30 minutes quick. But I don't like to be in a rush. I like to be thorough, make sure everything's cleaned, and just start from scratch. And man, you have yourself a brand new reel again every single time. And it can't be touched. That's just my viewpoint, guys. I really think the stuff that's coming out nowadays are just temporary. I don't think they're going to last you 20 years, 30 years, unless you use them once a year. Then you're probably okay. I just don't see longevity of new baitcasters. This stuff right here, listen to that versus that sounds a little more solid. That's just me. And they're always selling the little snap deals, pull the cap off, you switch your spools out really fast and everything, and all kind of stuff. Man, I buy so many of these PS10s and stuff like that that are just basically just ruined on eBay, and I buy specifically for parts, but I also buy them for spools, because these 2 thumb screws right here, you pop this plate off, you can put a new spool in there, and I got a Plano tackle box that's just full of spools. They're all bagged up individually with the model number written on them. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is my spool box. As you can see, it's got all different kinds of spools in them, and they're labeled VT33. One little bottle, small bottle of Daiwa lube, which I only use if I'm switching spools around. Other than that, I prefer my own lube that I have. But, you know, if I want different PS10 spools and they all have the brakes. Oh, tip for you guys, brakes. If you lose the little brakes that go on into the spools, don't have a cow. If you get a straw off of a WD-40 bottle, cut those suckers down a little 1/8 inch, maybe not even 1/8, maybe 1/16 of an inch long. Cut a bunch of them up, keeping it a little baggy, and you can take those dudes and slide them right on the spindles on the side of that spool. They work perfectly. Redneck Reel Repair 101. But, I mean, I'm sure some of you guys probably don't use these reels anymore because you're missing them. There you go. WD-40 straw. Put the sucker down 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch. Just put a bunch of them in the bag. You know how many of these reels have those on there? Because I'm clumsy and I'll lose parts too. Who doesn't? You'd be lying if you said you didn't. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it, guys. That's the real story. The old reels versus new reels. I just like to keep it simple, and you know, old stuff to me, it's easy to work on. If something happens to it, I know, or if it's starting to act up, I know what to look for. I know what to go into and fix, and that's just the way it is. And you can always buy junked out reels and just use them for parts. And a lot of the parts are interchangeable, and you can modify them too if you have to. If it's a dire situation, you're really trying to save one reel over another, you can always modify a part to get it to work. I've done that before too. Short story is a guy I knew from West Virginia off my Facebook page I used to have. Sent me a Lou Childers BB1, and the guy hated Daiwa. He hated it. And he said, "These BB1s, you can't kill them." I'm like, he can. I've seen them because some of the parts are plastic, even the old ones. And the part that he sent me that was not working properly was a plastic part that broke. So I had an old Daiwa Magforce that was junk, or for parts, and I had that piece, but I had to modify it. And the piece was made of brass and aluminum, not plastic. Well, I modified it, got it to work. It was basically anti-reverse, is what it was, anti-reverse clip. Sent it to the guy, and he's like, "Oh man, I love this thing." He says, "Never worked so good before," because I cleaned it and oiled it and everything. He's like, "Man, it works great." He goes, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, I hate to burst your bubble, dude, but In Your Loose Childer beats the heart of a Daiwa." He didn't like that. But, you know, it is what it is. You don't have to use a Daiwa. It's just that the Daiwa was the closest thing that would match the part that I had. Anyway, that's all I got on this, guys. I'm sure some of you guys are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. That's what makes this sport awesome. I just, you know, I have tried to use the new baitcasters, and I tell you what, the more I look at them, the more I don't like them. And when you go into a store, just remember, all these baitcasters that you're seeing, they're all made in the same place. Not all of them. The higher dollar stuff is not made in the same place, but yeah, they're all made by the same company. They just slap a different sticker on that sucker. I mean, have you ever noticed recently how all the reels look the same? You can't tell one from the other. There's a reason behind that. Now you know what it is. That's all I got, guys. Until next time, may the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name. The real decision is yours, man. It's whatever you want to do. But until next time I see you guys, fish on.